Hey guys, it's Dave from Team Dumpster, and this is going to be the first video for my portion of the deck I'm going to be doing for the Sealed Only Challenge. I went with the zombie structure decks because I had an affinity for them most of the time I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I've played them off and on for a couple of years, so familiarity was a big key, plus there were some other little detailed things, but for the most part I was hoping to just play something that I thought was a lot of fun. So this is the contents of the Zombie Horde structure deck. I have one here because, no surprises. Not like we're going to get anything different than the other ones, but just a quick recap for you for what's in here and what you can, expect to see in the deck. Maybe some other surprise things. How do you open it? There's a tab. Found it. All right. So we have a Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon. He's just a beat stick. He does some cool stuff if he runs things over in battle, but mostly you just make this guy to pump out some damage. We got Tatsu Necro, Synchro from hand. He's playable for now. Doom King Baller Jock. Now this is the guy I wanted to play the deck for. As far as zombie monsters go, this is probably one of the best ones ever printed. Him having an established control element for your strategy and also having a large body and recurability without any extra additional effort makes it really easy to keep your strategy flowing, makes it a lot simpler to play the game you want to play because you'll always have access to him. Necroworld Banshee, who is the terraforming of the deck in a way. Also, when she's on the field, she protects your zombie world, which is very valuable. You don't want to draw this too much. You don't want to have to summon it too much. But it's nice to know that if you play a card like this, which is kind of a Garnet, you do get some utility out of it. This is probably the most underrated card in the entire deck, is Glow Bloom. You basically have this guy summon Baller Jock anytime Zombie World's on the field, anytime you can send him, pitch him, synchro with him even sometimes. Whatever you do to get him in the grave while you control Zombie World, just specials Baller Jock from the deck and some other cards, but mostly just him. We got some of the old generic zombie cards to kind of round out the deck, like Endless Decay, Goku N, Red Eye Zombie Dragon, Paladin. Not too many cool things. I think in my first build, though, Zombie Master definitely makes the cut. He's a long-time zombie staple, and if you don't know what he does, you discard a card and then special zombie from your graveyard that's level 4 or lower, and there must be a zombie in the graveyard to activate the effect, so it does require a little bit of setup, but for the most part, pitching a card to grave to do anything is good for zombies, so getting a card back off of it so you don't neg and also establish some board presence is pretty good. Then we got some other cards as well as Mizuki and Gozuki, who are probably the MVPs of your level 4s. Gozuki is a good starter and extender. Mizuki is an extender, and generally speaking is your win condition to some small extent. So having these two in the deck, I don't know that I play Gozuki at 3, but you definitely play Mizuki at 3 for starting off. We got Shunnoji, Pyramid Turtle, Goblin Zombie, who is probably going to make my list. Anytime you link him off or synchro with him, you search a zombie with 1200 defense or less. It's not once per turn or anything, so it's definitely worth the spot. We'll test it for sure. We got Isolde and Shiranui Solitaire. Now this goes with another card in the deck, if I remember correctly, but it's basically just a rank 4 engine. I don't know that I'm going to bother, because as of right now I have no rank 4s really worth playing, but we'll see, it might make the cut. Shiranui Solitaire is your lone fire, gets Unizombie, who is just the best card in the deck. Speaking of Unizombie, very good. Marionette Might, hand trap, so to speak, kind of a side deck thing. If you have Zombie World up, it's just a mind control, so there's value there. Maybe I side it, maybe I main it. Beast of the Pharaoh, the Mighty Have Fallen. This guy's not making the cut. Once upon a time he was really cool. And Scapegoat, who will also not be making the cut. Now here comes the structure deck specific cards that I think are pretty neat. So the Zombie Power Struggle. You target one zombie on the field until the end of the turn. It gains 1,000 attack or loses 1,000 attack. So that's either your side of the field or your opponent's side of the field if you have Zombie World up. So it's a bit of a battle trick. And if it's in your graveyard, you can shuffle one banished zombie monster into the deck. And if you do, set this card on the field, banish it when it leaves the field. Mostly what you want to do with that is you want to recycle things like Mizuki and get the advantage off of him that way. And Zombie Necronize. If a level 5 or higher zombie monster is on the field, you can target one monster your opponent controls and take control of it until the end phase. During the main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle a banished zombie back into your deck to set it on the field. So more recurability, recycle things that are important to you. I think I'm going to be playing some number of this. Zombie World, which is the glue that holds your strategy together, turns everything on the field into zombies, and neither player can tribute monsters except for zombies. It also turns them into zombies in the graveyard, so there's a little bit of synergy with a lot of the other cards in your deck, which lets you manipulate your opponent's graveyard. Overpowering Eye, it's just a worse version of what comes in the structure deck. This is Book of Life, and this is your extender. It's Monster Reborn for zombies, but you can also banish a card, so you end up doing some cool things with your zombie strategy too, because your opponent's stuff, if it has any graveyard synergy, gets banished, and you have plenty of cards that interact with that. Call of a Mummy lets you special summon a zombie from your hand once per turn. It's very meh. Foolish Burial, don't need to explain that. Monster Gate, probably not going to play it. Drag Down, I might play some copies of it, it's alright. Burial from the Different Dimension, a long time zombie card, got to be used very frequently with Mizuki. The ceiling on this card is so high. You return 3 banished monsters to the graveyard, and if you have any familiarity with zombies, you already know where that's going, so I'm probably going to play some number of those. Shared Ride, side deck for sure, and then we got the final cards, the Traps. And this is a big reason why I picked up this deck and ultimately chose to go with this, because we do get some pretty solid side deck options with it. We got the Anti-Spell Fragrance and the Mask of Restricts, as well as the Shared Ride to kind of like already start with a 9-card side deck. Haunted Shrine and Return of the Zombies are the structure-based cards. They have that same effect where you can return a banished zombie to the deck and basically resolve their effects. One destroys cards, the other you can banish it from the graveyard, get a zombie in your graveyard and special it, so extenders. Imperial Tomb and Needlebug Nest are gimmicks, and Metaverse is to search the field spell. So that's everything that's in the deck. I will come back with a list once it's completed, and I'll see you then. Alright guys, so this is the final first build for the zombie structure decks. I did the best I could. It's always a little bit more difficult when you have a very limited card pool, and working with just the stuff in the structure decks leaves me to, a little nervous. Couple cards in here that would choose not to play otherwise, but here it is. We're going to start off with 3 Doom King Ballerjock, because this is the boss monster of the deck. If the win condition that I have built in does not come to fruition, hopefully I've done enough damage that just sitting on Ballerjock wins me the game. Very good control card. He's got a nice body on him too, so he's not so easily run over. Without saying much else, he's just one of the best cards in the deck for pushing and getting aggro, as well as playing the control game, so no-brainer here, 3 of him. Then we have 3 Unizombie. Now, Unizombie is probably the best zombie synergy card ever printed. Goes without saying that any number of copies of this card that is legal will be played in every single zombie deck until it's banned. For those of you who don't know, he facilitates every zombie strategy by way of discarding cards that you don't want in your hand and would prefer in the graveyard, and sending things that you don't want in your deck to the graveyard. Without this, it's really hard to play too many zombie decks in the modern era of Yu-Gi-Oh! So 3 of him for sure. Next we have 3 Shiranui Solitaire. Now this guy basically digs out Unizombie. That is 99% of the things he's going to be in here for. Occasionally you can dig out a few other cards, and that may or may not come up from game to game, but mostly just to get Unizombie. More synergies with the deck is nice, but consistency is ultimately what we're shooting for. 3 Mizuki. And Mizuki is one of the best zombie cards ever printed. He's been around forever. Honestly, if you're playing a zombie deck just like Unizombie, you should be playing some number of Mizukis. We're going to be playing 1 Zombie Master, because while he has a pretty high ceiling, you run into the issue where he is hand trap bait. We're going to be playing 1 Goblin Zombie, another zombie card that's been around forever. He searches zombies from your deck to your hand with 1200 or less defense when he's sent from the field to the graveyard. That's most zombies. Not every zombie in this deck meets that requirement, but pretty much anything I would want to search off of him does. That is not once per turn, so with various zombie synergies, you can get multiple searches off of him every single turn. So I like free stuff, so I'm going to play him. Now we're at 2 copies of Gozuki, and the only reason I'm playing 2 instead of 3 is because space is a little bit tight for the monster lineup, and you don't want too many normal summons. With that being said, 3 is probably a little too much if I'm running the Shiranuis and the Unizombies, so 2 is good for now. We are running 2 Glow Up Bloom, which is, like I said, probably the most underrated card in the entire structure deck. When this card is sent from the field or deck to the graveyard, or yeah, just when this card is sent to the graveyard, so even better. You can banish it from your graveyard and add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. But if you have a zombie world on the field and he's sent from anywhere to the graveyard, you can banish him to instead special summon that card. So we end up with, versatility in his card effect if you don't want to special summon, or if you don't want to add to hand for whatever cards your opponents might even be playing, or if it just is to your benefit to resolve other cards to add it to your hand or special summon it. He facilitates both those needs. Honestly, it's just the icing on the cake that he's a level 1 tuner, and you can get a few synchro plays off of him. So very good card. I'm running 2 Marionette Mite because while Zombie World is on the field, I can discard him and take control of any monster my opponent controls until the end phase. And by himself, without Zombie World, he's not a very good card. But the reason I'm playing it is because he facilitates my deck's win condition. And if I don't get to Zombie World, I'm probably not winning this game anyway. So it's very important to have cards that raise the ceiling. Honestly, I probably wouldn't play too many copies of him, or any, if I had a couple other cards available to me. But as of right now, the power level of the card for what my deck is trying to do is undeniable. So I'm going to start with two copies of him, and we'll see where it goes. I have 2 copies of Necroworld Banshee. She is, as I said, the terraforming of the deck. You send her from the field or the deck to the graveyard, and she can be banished to activate a zombie world from your deck. While she's face up on the field, a zombie world cannot be destroyed by card effects, and either player can target it with card effects, and that's neat, but 99% of the time you're just going to send her to the graveyard off of a Unizombie to get your zombie world up. We're running 1 Tattoo Necro. Sometimes he's valuable to get board presence that you wouldn't have otherwise had. Sometimes you can make the Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon and just win a game off of that alone because you normal summoned a Tattoo Necro. Honestly, if I had more cards in my extra deck to play, I'd probably play more copies of him, but with the first draft having a very, very light extra deck, I'm not too concerned with playing him. So there's the monsters. I am the least sure of those, so those will probably be changing in future edits. However, everything from here on out is pretty solid in my opinion. So we got 3 Zombie World, and this is the basis of the deck. This is the glue. This facilitates every card in your deck's ability to prevent your opponent from winning with some of their strategies. Turning their stuff into zombies is a big problem for a lot of strategies, so just by itself it can even be a floodgate. There's just so many good things about it, so 3 copies for sure. Then I'm playing 3 copies of Zombro Necronize, and this is part of the win with your opponent's cards win condition. While a level 5 or higher zombie monster is on the field, I can target one monster my opponent controls and take control of it until the end phase. And then during the main phase, if it's in my graveyard, this card rather, I can shuffle a banished zombie into the deck and set it. and banish it when it leaves the field. Pretty much just mind control, but better. Obviously, there are some conditions, and it's not necessarily, the easiest card to activate, but ceiling is very high, and that's why I'm playing it, just trying to get the most out of my cards. I play 3 Drag Down to the Grave, Disruption, dump stuff from my deck to the graveyard, you get information from your opponent. It's been around forever. Honestly, just one of the better cards available to me in the structure decks. And we have 2 Zombie Power Struggle. That's a battle trick. I can either boost a zombie I control's attack by 1,000, or make opponent's monster they control lose 1,000. 2 Book of Life. It's an extender, great zombie synergy card. You can special summon a zombie from your graveyard and banish a card from your opponent's graveyard. And just by itself, it helps the deck do so many things, but getting incidental value off of the banishing a second card effect is really, really good, especially in the format that we're in now. So 2 copies of that. Don't want to brick draw them, but at the same time, it's too good to play just one of. 2 Burial from the Different Dimension. Now, this card has been a zombie staple for years and years and years, and considering it was, one of the higher ceiling cards in the structure decks, that's why I'm playing 2 copies of it. I am aware that this card can be bricky, and you are asking quite a lot of your strategy if you get multiple copies of this in your hand in the early game, but the risk is worth the reward. Being able to put something like 3 Mizukis back into your graveyard from Banish is just unreal card advantage. So we're going to be rolling with 2 of these. And finally, for the spells, we have 1 Foolish Burial. Enough said, you guys know what it's about. And the only trap we're going to be playing 1 Metaverse, because being able to activate a zombie world at will from my deck is incredibly powerful. Being able to surprise my opponents by turning off various cards effects, or if they destroy a zombie world that I already have up, thinking they're in the clear, and they attempt to commit cards to the board or set up for play, to be able to flip this up and put a zombie world on the board is incredibly powerful. So that would be the spell and traps. Now we're on the side deck, very small. This is the only things that I really felt were worth playing. So we got 3 Mask of Restrict, just to prevent decks at tribute, and maybe it comes up. We have 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance for your Striker and Pendulum matchups, and I guess like maybe Rogue Burn or something. Honestly, it's just too good of a card against some of the already established meta decks that I'd be playing it anyway, but hopefully it by itself can win a few games for me going forward. And then 3 Shared Ride, another card that's really good against the meta, in particular Striker. It's good that we have 3 copies just so we can go forward and have some options available to us for even the rogue matchups. And the extra deck is 3 Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon, because that's all we have. Why not throw 3 of them? He makes big pushes, does a lot of damage, steals cards that he runs over in battle. Just an overall good card. So that's it. That's the deck. Let me hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. If you have anything in mind that will help me, move forward with my deck, and any advice for the sealed only challenge to put this deck over the top, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.